Okay, so quality is not going to necessarily be the greatest. Cannot promise anything. But so basically, what I'm doing here is I'm going to be recording. I'm basically going to dub over my commentary. I have YouTube on my phone muted. I'm just going to be dubbing over my commentary from my runs, all of my world record runs that I intend to submit to GDQ. So this is the first one that I'm sending in. So let me just say hello. I am the Ibuki Miyota. I stream. I run Papa Louie to go games. So those are the mobile ones. I understand if that's something that might turn off any potential viewers possibly, but it's genuinely a very entertaining game. So this is the one that I set very recently. Actually, I set it literally about an hour before I started I'm going to be recording this. So it's actually a fairly recent record. So we'll start with this one. So you can see me deleting my middle slot. That's only because I didn't exactly do well on my previous run. So timing starts when you hit skip on the intro cutscene. So you can see me immediately firing up the donuts there into the proper shapes for the orders. That's very much a key part of how you play for this game. You take everything out, put everything in quickly. You can also, if you noticed, might be reacting a little slow to stuff that I did. But you can see that I also took it out quickly because what you want to do is you want to be able to maximize the amount of points you get while also keeping speed. So in some cases, you're going to have to sacrifice how well the food is cooked for the sake of getting it done quicker. So here, this one's a bit more cooked. And the topping station is a very interesting thing. This is a lot of where like the speed comes in, because like a lot of these take time, so you want to hope for like certain outcomes. You want to pre-fire the right shapes in dough. So it's a very interesting game to speed run here. So we also skip these scenes. Basically, for me, I'm mashing at the corners, and then I hit play, mash through that. So you can see here I'm pre-firing because I'm doing 3, specifically because I want to get one of the 2 people that entered on the first day. And that's because if you get all of them on the first day, you get all of them on like 5 days in a row with a high enough score, i.e. one that clears 80 points, you actually will get, if you get a perfect in that, you can get 300 points. You can also see that I fired other dough up ahead quickly, all of which are round. So those are specifically because you want to also start up with the closer order, which the closer is the last person who enters every day. You want to essentially make the donuts for their order. You want it to be perfect, or at least close to perfect, so you can immediately start on them when they walk through the door. So there I was checking to make sure no one else had entered, because sometimes people will enter. It's very dependent on how soon you asked the previous person. You like got the order of the previous person. So as you can see here, like 85 out of 100 isn't exactly a great point count. So here we have James. See, the start, we got to get 5 of those essentially. That's not always guaranteed. For a run like this, submitting it to GDQ, there would not be the guarantee that we would be having that. So, for instance, generally, if you can't complete it in day 5, completing in day 5 is the goal, but generally a run can still be completed within 6 in-game days. So you can see I got a perfect there, because I had his order pretty much ready perfectly. So here I'm starting on the closer's order. this is the closer hasn't come in yet, but part of what you do, at least a little bit, is you kind of have to have the orders of each of the customers memorized, at least to a degree that you can kind of remember where things are supposed to be, what shapes, what doughs, in general before they walk in the door for the closers. Mainly because it really helps speed up the process, so you can start on their things before they walk through the door completely. So yeah, you can see we got a perfect on him as well. Getting perfects is theoretically you can get it done in day 5, and you could get it done with all perfects, but the thing is you would still be short a certain amount of points. So you need to still get either a special that gives you more points, or here you get a medal. So Akari here wants a regular round, for instance, so we set that up immediately. And the closer's order involves 3 regular ring donuts, so we're setting that up. The other ring in the chocolate round, we use that specifically for... Now, I'm also flipping. You might have noticed I flipped the regular round in there as well, because you want it to still be kind of semi-cooked, because that actually will give you a higher score than just having it more cooked on one side and raw on the other. So having it a bit balanced actually does help the score a little bit better. So I'm going back because I want to make sure that I don't overcook on those donuts either. So as you can see, 88 points. That if we did it with the normal fire, it would probably be more about 85. I'm flipping those donuts as well, making sure that someone else isn't coming in yet. Doing Cooper's order here. That's Cooper's order. He has the shortest order, so getting him is actually a little bit useful, because he's the only customer that appears in this run that you can get that doesn't ask for 2 toppings on the donut. He only asks for 1, which does save a bit of time. So as you can see, we get James here on day 3. You have to hope that you get the customer on day 3. So you can see here I'm just kind of doing random shapes to hope that, like, to cover for in case someone specific comes in. So James coming in on day 3, though. That's important because you want either him or Maggie, who was the girl that appeared on day 1. You want her specifically to, essentially, you want them to appear 3 days in a row, because then you'll have enough money on day 4, at the end of day 3, I should say, to go into the shop and buy a item. We'll get to that in a moment. So here we have a special recipe. Now, in other games, the special is useful. This one is the only one where I would say having the special is actually detrimental to your progress. So you can see that I kind of made an error there, but that was also because I specifically here didn't have time, and I didn't want to waste more time trying to make a regular ring and fry that up. And so in some cases, it honestly is better to sort of kind of throw that customer, because even if you don't get a good score, as long as you don't dip below a certain threshold, you can still clear it with like a point. So here I'm setting up the second closer, Hank's order. His is a little bit quicker because he doesn't ask for a glaze or anything on top, which definitely helps. But he does ask for 2 toppings on 2 of the donuts, so it kind of balances out. So these are on a set amount, like, so these will always take the same amount of time. There's no way to actually speed up putting the toppings on, and you have to manually, like, kind of balance it out by moving it back and forth. So as you can see, we got another perfect on the closer, and that's day 3. So here on the bottom right, you saw me skip that. I'm skipping through this as well on the bottom left. I go into the shop and I bought a coupon, go to James, send that to him. That means he'll come in guaranteed tomorrow. That means he's a customer who absolutely, without a doubt, will enter the shop. So we have another new customer, and we have a new donut item. It's one that basically makes eclairs, though the game refers to it as a Long John. But I personally don't like that name, so I refer to it as an eclair. So I'm also setting up the closer's order. She gets 2 rings and an eclair. And then I'm also setting up for other potential people to come in. I kind of second guess myself on which one, but sometimes you kind of have to go with your gut, and sometimes your gut is wrong, which is unfortunate. But also, as you can see, I had a light yellow for for this donut that springs the first person to order. I had hers kind of semi-ready. Flip those donuts, get the sprinkles all over them. The reason I'm recording commentary rather than sending my runs in as they were are because I also used unfriendly language that is not approved, so I'm doing commentary to compensate for that. This is Hope. She doesn't get a glaze, but she also is someone who kind of has the reputation, for me at least, of being a bit of a run killer, because not because of day 4 that we're on, but because of what she can get if she's the second to last customer on day 5. Because the Long John actually can be a little bit detrimental having that also thrown in there, because now you have to guess 1 from 3, because on day 5 2 people order 2 donuts as opposed to ordering 1. So as you can see, though, we got Cooper 3 days in a row, so that means we're saving a little bit of time each time, purely because he ended up entering. And also you can see that I moved the nozzle to the Blue Moon icing. That is because knowing that James has to come in, knowing he has to come in and he's going to be the second to last person order, because they are never the closer. The closer is always a set person. Moving it there means I can immediately start. I do that for my own personal optimization. It's not something everyone necessarily does. I do it because I feel like it helps me. And as you can see, I'm moving it to strawberry because that's for the order of the closer that's going to be coming in. So she gets ring, eclair, ring. She gets the Boston fill only in the eclair. She gets strawberry icing on both of the chocolate donuts. As you can see, my battery power kind of ran out. This was coming after 3 hours of streaming. So I kind of couldn't avoid that. So you can also see where I put my charger in. I can turn off those notifications if that's going to be an issue during the run. I'm going to have my notifications turned off should this actually be accepted. So as you can see, I put the icing on all of those, and there we go. Perfect on Quinn. So now we enter day 5, which this game is very, very luck dependent, but also very skill dependent, as are all the Papa Louie games, I would say. So we skip through that. We have enough, so we get another customer coupon. They cost $25 a piece. You can buy one technically on day 2. However, you won't necessarily have enough to buy one on after day 3 instead, which honestly, it's easier to just try to get them 3 days in a row. So Moose comes in, he orders an eclair. We have a new ingredient, but he's the only one who actually gets this one, and that's basically a chocolate filling for the donuts. He's the only customer in this run that actually does that, though. So as you can see, I'm also setting up the closer's order once again. She gets 3 rings. And I did the round regular because James, from what I can tell, the person you send the coupon to, they will always be the person who calls in for their order, and they always order. And for James, he always gets a regular ring and a regular round. So here we have Moose. Put some icing on it. And then we go back, flip those donuts so they can get fried on the other side. And then we put the marshmallows on, send that into Moose. Now we flip the closer donuts. We can see that Alberto has walked in. He gets a chocolate ring specifically. So we take care of that. We get his order. And just to make sure that you can maximize James' order, I actually do Alberto's first here. This is because if you get, like I said, it takes your score and you can get up to 300 points. Since you have a maximum of 100, basically that means you can, as long as you do everything right, you essentially will get, like basically your score that you would have gotten for that multiplied by 3. So as you can see, I'm bringing in the closer donuts. I had a little bit of issue there. So Sprinks calls in. She orders the eclair, but she also orders a donut that I don't have pre-fired. So I am getting that set up. So actually, this is going to come into play on how I finish this run, because I don't finish with the closer like I have with the other days. That's because the closers are a lot more picky about their orders. So I'm actually going to, after I serve James his order, I'm going to end up starting on the closer's order. So Sprink's donut can actually cook a bit. So I can actually have that buffer, because one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to check my time. I'm going to check how many points I need. So I was able to see very quickly that I need 160, which means I basically need a score of 80 on both, or a score of essentially above a 90, and then like you can kind of phone it in on the other order. But I'm going to be more precise on the closer's order because that's more beneficial to my time. So I basically take Sprink's donut out because that's about as good as it's going to get. And I don't want to waste too much time. So we then put the marshmallows on the 2 outer donuts. The closers always order 3. Everyone else is kind of a little bit left up to chance. So yeah, as you can see, I give Crystal the donuts first. Get a 97 there, which very much helps. That means I only need to get 63 points. So I then send that in. I get the dip for Sprinks. Get the coverings on them. Put the sprinkles on those, and I basically send that in. Get an 87, which is more than enough to get it. That's the end of day 5, but the run doesn't end actually until specifically when you see what your final rank is. So now the run ends. The run ended here, and that is at a 1632, which is the current world record as of this recording. So that's Papa's Donuteria to go.